The following is the troubleshooting techniques I use to repair my Starbucks Barista Espresso Maker. You must take precautions when dealing with electricity around water and pressure in the espresso boiler. Talavi Studios, myself, and/or Southwest Training Development, Incorporated, will not be responsible for your results or your safety. Use common sense and be safe. Vendors that were used to buy the necessary items to repair my espresso maker will be disclosed. Talavi Studios, myself, and/or Southwest Training Development cannot guarantee future performance of these vendors since it is completely out of our control. There are many other vendors that sell replacement parts. Do your research and choose wisely. You can see the phone number in the front of your Starbucks Barista water vessel. Yes, it still works, but they are no help. What happened to me is that they gave me another number to call. When I called the other number, they in turn gave me the number I just called, in a vicious cycle back and forth with no resolution. At this point, I thought I'd have to heap my espresso maker in the trash. It was built in the March of 2006 and gave me excellent service, but the coffee brewed by this machine was far superior, in my opinion, than other makers in the same price range. Instead, I thought I would take the espresso maker apart to see if I could make any sense out of it. The problem was it would not pump water and there was no obstruction to impede the flow. Unplug the espresso maker from the AC wall outlet. 6 screws and a rubber grommet around the power cord hold the cover on. Here's what the inside looks like. Here is the pump. To remove the pump, remove 2 screws here and remove the tubing here and here. The right water connection used an 11mm wrench, and on the left a 10mm wrench. Yours may be different. Be careful with the left connection. It has a spring and a pressure valve inside. You won't notice until it falls out. Finally, 2 screws that have nuts here and here. Disconnect the T connector from the pump, the old pump and the new pump. Use Teflon tape to ensure a tight fit on the T connection to the pump. Look at the pump and you'll see the part number. I googled the part number or put the number on Amazon. Note my old pump shaft was made out of nylon or plastic. The new one is metal. The blue component is more than likely a capacitor to start the pump. Be sure that you exchange it with the new pump exactly the way it is. The blue component goes into a slot off to the left. Just repeat the process backwards to install the pump. Now it's time to test it. There is some danger here, so be very careful. I fill the water vessel halfway with water and make sure the hose to the pump is in the water container properly. I put my Starbucks Barista Espresso Maker someplace where it is away from the AC outlet. I plug the AC outlet in. Important, do not touch anything inside while your Starbucks barista is plugged in. If you find a leak or an emergency, place it in such a way where it can be unplugged quickly. Turn the power on, and at the top right button that dispenses the coffee, push it in. If there are no leaks, consider yourself lucky and unplug it from the wall outlet. Reassemble the unit. I found a leak in the boiler at the front of the unit. The boiler is in 2 halves bolted together. I tried to tighten the bolts. The leak slowed but did not go away. I took many digital pictures of the inside of the espresso maker since I knew the spider web of wires inside were complex and wanted to make sure that I was able to put the unit back together again correctly. After I had a record, I disassembled the boiler, gave it a visual inspection, and found a silicone O-ring the broiler halves. After 7 years, the seal was not pliable as it once was. So I found a vendor in Seattle and purchased a new one. The vendors I used will be put in the description of the video placed by the YouTube just below the video. I will not get into the step-by-step mode with the disassembly of the boiler, as it is a complex and there are many good ways to approach this task. However, I will give you a heads up on a few things. The milk frother knob will screw out and there's a needle valve, and you may want to know how it is put back together. And don't lose any parts. This knob has a cam which controls 2 strips of metal that act like a switch or a rheostat, so make sure you put back everything exactly as it was before you started to disassemble it. The Allen screw, if not aligned correctly, in my case it was pointing to the top of the case 90 degrees. The pump will come on when the power button is pushed, and the coffee dispensing button, which is at the top right, will have no effect. As you see, the Starbucks Barista Espresso Maker I purchased at the Starbucks at 59th Avenue in Union Hills in Glendale, Arizona, lives again. Hey, if you're ever in that area, be sure to stop by and get a coffee there. There's a lot of great people that work there. I'm Fred Tankersley. Thank you for joining us.